Vinz Clortho, Keymaster of Gozer. Is that who you want to be this Halloween? Well, stay tuned. We're going to show you how to build one of these. So you might ask yourself, what's involved in turning this into this? Well, let's call it 270 some odd parts, 109 feet of wire, lots of 3D printed items included in that, and a lot of 632 screws and nuts. And of course, the ever popular Protect chin strap. Another styling part of the costume, I must say. Now, if you've looked online at Thingiverse, you'll find that there's files for all of the 3D printed parts. Of course, you don't have the files for the wires. They're 21 gauge is what we've been using. If you want, there's a kit available and links in the description. First thing you have to do is get rid of these legs. Now, pretty stylish, I must admit, but I think the legs have to go. So what size drill bit do you want to drill out this rivet? Well, when you look at it and you say, okay, how big is the rivet? You want it slightly bigger than the hole. And in this case, that's 5/32. Put it in the center of the hole, drilled out. And there you have it, leg removed. Comes off, and you haven't made the holes any bigger than they already were because you made a hole that was only slightly larger than the hole of the rivet. Let's go through that again. Now that the legs are removed, you're probably going to notice that there are some dents in it and some imperfections, and really it doesn't look that great. But the nice part about aluminum is if you don't work it too hard, what ends up happening is you can smooth these dents out. So what we're going to do is get something with a hard round surface and smooth these dents out on a flat surface. Now I've got something that's got a nice round head on it, but that's because I've beat it with a hammer several thousand times. But if you wanted to, you could also use the end of a screwdriver. If it's got a hard plastic end, that would also work. Get that out of the way. Flat surface. And we've turned that back to round. Now here's this one. Let's take a look at that guy. You can see that it's got some dents in it. Now let's take a look at this one and see what we can do. And now, it's pretty round. So one of the first things I noticed was getting this clean. The vinegar didn't do such a great job, but what really worked was an SOS pad. Looks great. And the next step is identifying where you're going to put stuff. So there's a quadrant system that I've worked out, and it's on a spreadsheet, and if you look closely, you'll see there are numbers. It starts with 1. Okay, let's go the other way. It starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the middle one is star 7. Each point then, this one starts at A, and it goes clockwise, A, B, C, D, E, F, and if you really want to get picky, this is A1, the top, A2 is the next, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, A8, and this is B1. So if you want to know where these things are, that's the quadrant system that I used. Now to make it easy on myself, I used a highlighter because the stuff comes off very easily when you're done. So highlighter is not a bad way to mark your quadrant system as you're going to start. First thing we're going to do is drill the holes for the resistors. It's a 1/8 inch hole. That's the easiest thing to do, and we're going to mark them out with a sharp pencil. Stay tuned. So the next part of the process is to drill the 7 holes required for the RH50 or RH50 resistors and the 2 Cal R resistors. So one of the things that you can do to make placement a little bit easier for this resistor is place a couple of the insulators on first. The insulator at 1F1, the 6 rib one, and the insulator at 6A1. And if you put those on and you get there, you can see both. You make sure that the leads are not pointing in the direction of the insulator. Right about there is about right. And you can see I've put the pencil marks on where those holes are. Those are the holes I'm going to drill for that one.
Well, here you get an extreme close-up of the second RH50 resistor. I'll back off a little. So this is star 5. And when you take a look, star 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, star 5, F, the hole for this resistor, you can see it's just a little bit to the right and below 5F. And I've marked 4 here, and that's 4A1 that you can see right here. And it goes up just above that. So there's the placement of the second RH50 resistor. For the first Cal R resistor, the one that goes star 7, A2, it's hard to see, but there's A1, A2, star 7, A2. I noticed a bit of discrepancy with some of the colanders, that they're a bit different in where the stars will line up. So rather than have this one point to a certain place that didn't quite work out, what we'll do is we'll have it so that this does a traverse of the colander when the first one, 7A2, is inserted. So put it in there, and it should almost point straight down. So you can mark this hole for drilling.
The second Cal R resistor, 6E3, 6E3, put this guy here, on 6, A, B, C, D, E3, and it points in the direction of 5E, 6, and 7. See, there's the mark there. Yeah, you can see it up here. And last but not least, R1, also points to R7. Not R7. I don't know where it points. I'm going to go drill a hole. When you want to drill holes in this, the easiest way to do it is to use an auto punch. And this punch, as you push it on the marks that you've made, you center it, It makes that clicking sound. If you don't have an auto punch, you can just use a nail. Put the nail to it and hit it with something reasonably hard. Little tap. The auto punch makes a really nice. The auto punch makes a really nice bent, but the nail also makes a reasonable dent in it as well. You can see it here. Totally reasonable for drilling. Drilling them out, 8-inch hole. So drilling the holes once you've punched them. I like to go nice and slow. It's a soft material. There we go. Hole drilled. The issue that you're going to have when you drill these holes is that there's a burr on the inside. So the easiest way to get rid of one of those burrs is to use a large drill bit and get that large drill bit right up to the hole and just give it a very light spin on the inside, and that burr will be gone. There you go.
If you're going to be printing your own resistors, there's a couple of things you should know. The CalR resistors are painted with gold paint, at least the outer casing, and the wire is 12 gauge. The CalRs are 3 pieces, the RH50s are 3 pieces, inner core, wire, and outer. The Sage resistors are actually just 2 pieces, and when you're putting that wire in, I've tried to design the file so that the wire can be inserted easily, but sometimes you might have to drill it out a bit. Again, the wire itself is 12 gauge aluminum, and it's flattened, as I'll show you in a second. Well, here is everything you're going to need to put it all together. There's a few things that are 3D printed, a few you can get from your local hardware shop, and a few you might have to find online. So if you take a look in the description, there's a link to the Thingiverse file where there is a list, a detailed list of everything listed here. Everything shown here. It's not actually listed here, is it? It's just shown. Oh.
So when you're putting the resistors on, keep in mind you don't want to tighten the 632 nuts too tight, because if you tighten them too tight, you could risk breaking the plastic, since the colander is round and the resistor is flat. Easy enough to do. Phillips screwdriver. You want to tighten it up a little bit, you can just hold it with your finger. It's good enough. And half a turn or so, and it's nice and tight.